On a gloomy autumn evening in a small village nestled at the foot of ancient mountains, a strange incident occurred. Legend had it that a black castle stood in these mountains, abandoned many years ago and surrounded by mysteries. The locals avoided getting close to this place, believing it to be cursed. However, for Alexei, a young dreamer with an insatiable thirst for adventure, this was an opportunity he could not miss. Alexei often listened to the stories of the elders about the castle, its grim walls, and the ghosts wandering through its corridors. He dreamed of exploring this place, even if it meant facing the unknown. Clutching the map that marked the route to the castle, he set off early in the morning. The road to the Black Castle was challenging. Narrow paths, dense thickets, and slippery rocks constantly slowed his pace. After several hours of walking, he finally stood before the ominous silhouette of the castle, looming on a cliff. Its black walls, covered in moss, looked even more intimidating against the gray sky. With a pounding heart, Alexei approached the enormous door adorned with mysterious symbols. The door was ajar, and Alexei felt a cold wind brushing against his face. He stepped inside and found himself in silence. The castle welcomed him with a profound quiet, broken only by the creaking of old floorboards beneath his feet. The first thing that caught his attention was the vast hall, dimly lit by the weak light filtering through the dusty windows. Portraits of people hung on the walls, their gazes seeming alive. They followed his every move, and Alexei felt shivers run down his spine. He explored the hall, discovering ancient books, forgotten toys, and strange artifacts that once belonged to the castle's inhabitants. But soon, something else caught his eye. In the corner of the hall, he noticed a mysterious door leading downward. The desire for adventure and curiosity urged him forward. Descending the creaky staircase, Alexei found himself in a dark dungeon. It was cool here, and the air was thick with the scent of mold and time. He switched on his flashlight and continued his exploration. Suddenly, he stumbled upon an old stone chamber where ghastly scenes were depicted on the walls, seemingly narrating tales of sacrifices and rituals. Inside the chamber, he found another book covered in dust. As he opened it, Alexei realized that it was the diary of the castle's owner, who described his experiments with dark magic. Each page grew increasingly unsettling, until it reached a terrifying moment when he wrote about how his own soul had become trapped in this castle, how he was now part of its curse. A wave of fear washed over Alexei. He quickly closed the book and rushed towards the exit, only to find that the door he had entered through had vanished. He was trapped in the castle, surrounded by dark shadows that seemed to come alive before his eyes. Suddenly, figures emerged from the darkness, their features unclear, but they were filled with fear and pain. These were the souls of those who had tried to escape the castle but had failed. Alexei felt panic rising within him. He had to find a way out, but how? Instead of giving up, he decided to use the knowledge he had gained from the diary. He remembered that it mentioned a ritual that could free the master's soul and perhaps free him as well. But for this, he needed to find 3 items hidden in different parts of the castle. The first item was in the library, where Alexei faced the ghosts of the past once more. Gathering all his courage, he began to search. Eventually, he discovered an old amulet that he believed to be the key to the ritual. The second item was hidden in the castle garden, which now looked like a wild jungle. Struggling through tall grass and weeds, he found a crystal glowing with blue light. However, he was in for a surprise. From the shadows emerged one of the ghosts, attempting to stop him. Remembering his fears, Alexei stood firm against it, realizing that the ghost was nothing but a reflection of his own fears. The third item was located in the deepest part of the dungeon in a mysterious pool of water. Approaching the water, Alexei saw his reflection. It looked distorted and full of fear, but he knew he had to overcome it. He plunged into the water and found the final artifact at the bottom, a statue depicting strength and wisdom. With the collected items, Alexei returned to the chamber and began the ritual. He recited the incantations described in the diary and soon felt the castle walls begin to tremble. The ghosts started to gather around him, and he realized they had come to help, not hinder. Finally, as the last words were spoken, the castle was illuminated with a bright light. The darkness began to dissipate, and Alexei saw the ghostly figures gradually transforming into light. He realized that he had finally freed their souls and could now leave the castle. The door opened again, and he ran out into the fresh air, leaving the Black Castle behind. Returning to the village, Alexei shared his story, inspiring others to seek their own adventures. The castle that once terrified people now became a place of power and freedom, where every heart could find its place in this world.